Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. My name is Maureen. This is in relation to coffee and trauma, which is happening in February 11 afternoon evening. So I have a guest with me or guests with me, and they're going to talk with us about relationships trauma, because these guys have worked with the most couples I know. How long have you guys been married, by the way?
10 years this year.
10 years this year. They have grown children. So they'll tell us who they are and what they do. Let us start with the priest of the home.
So thank you, Maureen. Thank you for having us. My name is Simon Ngara. I'm born again, and I'm so grateful to be here in this forum. Yes, and this is my wife. Oh, it's me. I introduce myself. Yes, I do content development for websites, majorly, and several other things on the side. Yes, but usually content development for websites. That's my job.
Okay. Yes, site is wife.
Yes, I am the one who is Saichi's wife. My name is Kate Wamboi Ngara. This is Ngara. And we've been married for 10 years. Even me, I'm shocked. 10 years is such a short time and a long time at the same time. Didn't arrive. Okay. So I do community work. We have an NGO called Sawa USA. Look it up. Yeah, so I do community work, and I also have a small shop where I sell African things. So your bikois, your sandals, you know. To come and I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having us.
Karibuni.
Yes.
This conversation is long overdue. So today we're going to talk about relationships trauma.
Yeah.
First of all, are you guys the first people who dated each other? Like, Kate, is this your first boyfriend? Was this your first boyfriend? Now husband?
Well,
Ladies first.
well, no. I had kissed a few frogs before one turned into a prince, and there were nasty ones. That. So no, he was not my first boyfriend.
Okay.
I had
third, baby, what? Numbers.
That is opaque.
Okay.
But he was not the first one. He was the last one. It's important. Of importance.
The last one
is that he was the last one.
I love it. So it was Kate, your first girlfriend, first and only.
No, she was not my first. I don't have a long record. I think I only had one serious relationship before Kate. Yes, but so she is the one.
The one.
Yes.
Na ilienda hiyo relationship ingine ilienda vile ilikuwa inataka kuenda.
Ilienda tu ikaenda. Na tukashukuru Mungu. You know.
But now we are here.
Yes, now we are here.
So relationships trauma is trauma that comes from relationships or comes with relationships. We know that relationships are not just the dating relationship. There's also marriage, and apparently there's trauma that is in marriage. Yes. So some of the things that cause relationships trauma, for example, financial challenges, like if one person is higher or making it more better financially. Has any of you had one of those experiences?
Let me contribute, right? Should I say traditionally? It's still the way it's supposed to be. Ladies, don't beat me up. But since like forever, men are ideally the ones who make a lot of money, who provide for the home. So that is like acceptable. But things are changing. Tunakubali yote yanakuja. So many times the relationships that I've seen, they start off well, the man is doing well, and he's providing for the family, and everything seems to be going just right. But then the guy maybe loses their job, or they're demoted, or whatever situation that comes along that really prevents them from playing that role that they were playing before. And you usually see such people now, depending on their grounding and depending on many other factors. You see some, because now they are not able to do that, they turn to drink, which is now so many other complications.
Gets waste.
Waste, very waste. So, and then when you such problems now arise because I don't know who said this, that if you give the devil an inch, he takes so with that drinking comes forms of abuse and everything. So now you have the lady who was here and probably now she's the one who's earning more, and she can't quite stomach all. So you find that really takes tears apart a relationship, regardless of which stage it's at, because there's no manual, if I can put it like that, for handling such a situation. And we've seen many couples going that direction, which I don't know. I wish they would not.
I don't know whether it is just financial. I find that when a couple is in a relationship and the chick is better in maybe more ways than the guy can handle, then that relationship becomes a challenge. Kama udem ni mspiri, mariba shakare sende, anapigaga hivi maombi za 1 hour, which I like for 3 minutes, dear Lord, it's me again. Amen. In relationship itakuwa na challenges hawa.
Yeah. Okay. Also, when you talk about finances, just like he said, maybe for some relationships, could be if it is a marriage relationship, it could be if the lady is not earning anything, she could just be sitting in the relationship because she has no way out. But you find that nowadays more divorces are happening because women are becoming empowered, and maybe you find they are earning the same or they are earning even more. So nowadays, like, people are like, okay, then why should I stay in this relationship if I can be on my own? So I think the financial empowerment of women has also contributed to more divorce because women are like, me, what's nijisimamie? Niende nikiendanga. So it's like people are becoming less tolerant of each other because they are finding it being easier being independent. If there are some small problems, instead of handling them, you flee. So more women empowerment equals more divorce rates. Because kitambo, if the man is providing for you everything you need, then you stay, regardless of if the relationship is good or not. But now, if the man is not providing everything, then you have other options. You're like, I can provide for myself. So I think that also in another way it's like it's causing more divorces to happen. Like, it's breaking relationships, especially for people who are not married as well, because you come together and you're both independent on your own, and if you can't work together, it's easier to go apart.
Separate ways.
Yes.
So our independent side, did you guys have worked with a lot of young people, teens and young adults? What is the one thing that's making people or relationships not succeed right now?
Wow.
A lot. Social pressure. Things have changed. It's not like back in the day when he's saying he had one girlfriend. Probably I had one as well. Nowadays, it's okay. Nowadays, people are not like us. You take one person, you stick with them. You will date 7 people
at the same time.
As you weigh. At the same time, and it's okay.
You come auditions.
Can you imagine back in the day, if someone found out that you had 2 boyfriends, it was a scandal. Yeah. Nowadays, that is the norm. I think the social climate has changed a lot. The way they are dating nowadays is not the way we did. I would not survive in this climate if I was dating now. Back in the day, it was so much easier. Yeah. Like, it was scandalous for you to have multiple partners. But nowadays, it's there. Well, kaende.
Yeah. And also to contribute to that, it's like you see pressure, the social pressure, and even the changes. Because now we are consuming so much content from the West, which, in my opinion, is really, really bad for our foundation.
How so?
Because especially now that which is reaching us, it's about even the debates there. There's nothing like abstinence. Abstinence, as in, it's if you're abstaining, you're weird. You see, but us guys, that has been a foundation. You know, as in when you get married as a virgin, that was awesome. That was something to look for.
Yeah.
Right now, especially from the content that's coming. Hey, you're 14 and you've not done, you look weird. We need to find you somewhere. Yeah. You see, such thing, in my opinion, that such messages, such content that's really changing our culture. Because you see, young people are absorbing that every other day. They're saying sleeping around is okay. You know, being in multiple relationships is okay. Doing weird stuff, even sleeping with people of the same sex, funny things, LGBTQ, yoyote. You know, such things are being promoted. They are being normalized. But when us guys were okay, we are still very young. But that used to be something we just don't talk about because it is bad. So that being exposed to that level of content, consuming that level of content every day, is meant to change even the value system. So I see these people in this generation are facing so much because so much has been introduced into our current society that is so hard to deal with, and it's making it difficult for just a normal relationship to thrive.
I think about the fact that the guys now who are dating were probably not prepared for the kinds of things they're seeing now. So their parents also didn't know how to prepare them for it. So, and by the time that these guys, many young adults right now were kids, their parents were also struggling with their own relationships. So unadro trauma yako from hapo, maybe you've come from a single parent home, a violent home, or a place where your parent was absent, and now you have grown up and you are desiring a connection, na haiko. Wacha hata upata connection in the wrong place, haiko ile connection unataka. Have you guys experienced some of those things, and how bad can it get?
I think also a lot has changed. Like what we used to know to be normal is not normal anymore. Like, okay, in the course of my community work, I was shocked to find out that it is in the constitution of this country for a 10-year-old to get contraception from a government hospital without the consent of a parent. As in, msichana wako ataenda kwa hospitali, she will get contraception and you will not be called from 10 years old. And I was wondering why would you give a 10-year-old contraception? That is a minor. So according to us, when we were during those days, a minor was 17 years old. So now even minor age has moved all the way to 10. Can you imagine who is a 10-year-old? So now this 10-year-old has been exposed to too much. What is the filter? There is no filter. So when someone grows up in such a climate, it will affect so many of their decisions when they grow older, because a lot has been allowed into our climate that wasn't there before. And this is traumatizing children. Even as they look for partners to marry, because the rules have changed. Okay, I don't know if we can say they are not rules anymore technically, because we have allowed everything too much.
That's very true. I agree with what she's saying. But you see, when normally I think when you're growing up, there are needs that you have. And there is that need for connection, friendship, relationship, like let's say, and it's normal to desire. So this young person is growing. First of all, there's that connection that you have mentioned with the parents. Probably the parents were struggling, trying to pay school fees and many other things. So that connection might not be there as much. So when they come out into the world, perhaps like after Form 4 or in campus, there's still that gap that people want to fill. And now you find there are so many other people who want to fill that gap, but now in the wrong ways, in the ways that we would consider as traditional people would consider the proper way. So you find many young people, first of all, they have needs. They come out, they're looking for maybe someone to get into a relationship with. There are complications in terms of orientation, in terms of gender now is a question, apparently. In terms of, so many things that this individual needs to deal with, leaving an even bigger gap, you see. Because now they get, and then they are told, oh, same-sex relationships are a thing. And they're like, oh, now how to deal with that? Because now our young people are dealing with things that we would not have to deal with we never dealt with at our time. So they're carrying so much that is affecting them every other day. Now imagine someone now getting married. They have not had anyone to guide them through some of the expectations, some of the responsibilities, the roles, all they've seen is stuff on TV.
Yeah.
So it becomes so traumatic, even in the relationship, not even in marriage. As in, they don't know even how does a young man treat a lady. You know, how does a lady treat a young man? Some simple questions of how far is too far.
How far is too far? That is a very common question.
Yeah.
I don't think we talk enough about the way that gap, let me call it, say, a loneliness you feel. There's a loneliness you feel, a need that you're growing up and you didn't feel connected because of one reason or another. Tunazitangaje love language yako hata haujui. Unakutana na mtu uko na expectations. Vitu umeona kwenu, you're like, I don't want that, so I want better. And then you meet someone and you feel this deep need to connect with them, and then instantly what happens? You connect sexually. You're like, mi nimepata msee wangu, let's vibe. Part of the vibes is 1 week period where we explore. My friend was telling me how he and his girlfriend went for a getaway for a week. Girlfriend. I'm like, wanna get away, Nini? Anyway. So then you introduce sexual trauma in the story, because almost immediately you have sex with someone, most likely that relationship will not be the same. And it is almost many times it's never at now we are tighter and better and more convinced of our togetherness and oneness. Ni wasi wanaanza kuseparate. And then unajipata sasa ulikuwa umeinvest kwa umse, ulikuwa umeconnect naye deeply, umempatia kila kitu, amekupatia kila kitu, you are game to them and you are an experiment to them, they were an experiment to you, and then you're like, now the need is bigger. You guys have experienced that, right? People who come together, meet for a short time, connect sexually, and now they are breaking apart. How do you help people deal with that story?
You know, Kwanza, one of the things I like telling young guys, I'm also young. I don't know why I feel the need of
the young guys you interact with to say
yes. Is that the sex always complicates a relationship that is not married. It will always complicate it, because think of the young church guy, because I can relate with that young church guy. That they've been pressure, then they get into sex. Now it has a way of it carries with it some responsibility. They think now, by the way, now my case is done. Maybe I didn't like this girl that much. Maybe there are things about us that they don't connect. Maybe our families, because a relationship is not just sex. So many things. But they will say now, just because I have had sex with this girl and I do not want to kosea God, we have to get married. We have to. And then you
further complicate the story.
It becomes even far more complicated. That's why I'm saying sex just complicates relationships. Let's think of this other person who has no Hannah story in a church. There's a book we did when we were in high school. I can't remember the name of the guy who ate the liver.
African stories.
Yes.
The encounters from Africa. Yes. But then we're going to
hey, we should look for it.
And
he developed a taste.
And then he started, okay, remember that.
So the thing is, this are a person, they get into sex and they're like, hey, by the way, na ule mwingine basi itakuwaje? Na ule mwingine
inakuwa sampling situation.
Ni sampling. Which becomes so complicated. At the end of the day, I like telling it is not necessary. As in, and some of the guys that I interact with, they're like, oh no, how will you know whether you're compatible? How will you know? I like, Naambia tu.
Au watu sema story ku test drive.
Yes.
Test drive before marriage.
Which is not
So
right.
it is a kind of test drive. This is not important.
It's not important at this time. Because it just makes it more complicated, that you never get to truly find the beauty that comes in the relationship, in knowing that person. Because I tend to believe that sex is as a result of, as in you people are connecting, they are in a committed marriage relationship. And it is something that comes within that territory. It's not something of testing to try and know whether we are kosawa, whether, because I was telling another group the other day, as in, it's not about as in nani yako sawa kuliko mwingine. Even the most primitive animals know how to have sex. So it is not anything that is alive. It has gone through that process. So it's not ati mapro na wale wabaya.
Unajua kwenye ucheza ni kama na nini for football Champions League play na kila team.
Wala audition wale wengine.
It just complicates. Kama inaingia extramaritally, it complicates. And I don't know. And that's because now the content that we are consuming from the West, it says it's okay, just protection and everything. No. How will you protect yourself from trauma? Condoms don't do that.
My friend asks people, kwani kuna condom ya hati? Unaweza ingia hivi ndani ujifunike. Haitakuguza hiyo injury. It's such a painful point, and Kate will tell us if you've encountered this for young girls or ladies who are about to get married or who are in the process of getting married, and then they discover their man lied about it, or the other way someone lied about their body count. Not get kifika new year when you said when you said, like, what does it do for a chick to or what does it mean for a chick to wait until the time?
That is a tricky question, because these days I don't see people carrying that burden. Because for us back in the day, one of the reasons why I broke up with my said other, alleged
number,
my alleged other boyfriend, because the reason we broke up is because, first of all, I was a church person, he wasn't a church person. So from the get-go, our values were not the same. So this brother thinks that he can just go have a double life. Out there, he's having sex with whoever he wants, because me, I'm not having sex with him. But then he thinks we can still continue and then get married. So accidentally I found out, and me, I was like, hey bro, his story acha ishi hapa. And then now he wants to come and repent and convince me. Sasa mimi niko. So I think there are some people who, when it happens, maybe it's too late. You get married to someone, then you find out they have a child somewhere. So now that is traumatizing in itself. Or it makes you devalue yourself, because you're wondering, okay, kwani mimi sitoshi? Why does he have to have other people? Mbona tuko wengi? So you might think that you're okay because he had 5 girlfriends and then you're the one who was chosen. But then if that behavior does not stop, it will come back and haunt your self-esteem, because you will always have to counter yourself. Like unajiuliza, okay, mimi nikiwa number 3, hao wengine wako na nini yenye sina? And then you will have self-esteem issues, or you will start, it will traumatize you by lowering your value, which is technically not right, because technically there's no value. And inaweka kitu yenye haikukuwa, inaanza kukuhaunt. So I have seen people who have gone through that, or people who have gotten married, then the extra marital one, so your husband comes with a child who is not yours, and then now it is trauma time. From there all the way to until when you decide whether to deal with it or to just flee the whole situation. So for girls, that happens a lot.
So if you meet someone, they are going through a breakup. I know friends of mine who dated for 7 years. Walikuwa I think college, early years of college, wakianza wakadate through college, 7 years, wakaget engaged, wakafanya PMCC, and then wakaachana. Currently, kila mtu ako peke yake, vile Mungu alimuumba. Sasa ukikutana na mtu kama wewe unamsaidiaje? What do you do with 7 years of having a relationship with someone, knowing someone, loving someone, possibly having engaged in sex with someone? Like, what do you do with yourself after that? How do you deal with that period?
That is what I was saying. Like, now these people, when they try to get into another relationship, they will traumatize the other person because they're already traumatized.
Yeah.
You have come here with the baggage of your 7 years of suffering, like Lambert. So you have Jacob. You come here with the Jacobness of 7 years, and then this other person thinks that you're a new person, but you have come here with all this baggage. You're thinking about what has happened to you in 7 years, and you're applying that feeling and that pressure and all those emotions to the new person, and then they're having to carry that trauma
because now they're experiencing loss because they have lost a relationship. Akona uncertainty.
So no matter how convincing this new person is, kuna anxiety yenye amekuja nayo for the new one.
Not assuming that I'm gonna get with a new person after they have healed, they have gone to therapy, they have dealt with their issues, because most of the time you break up with someone, you're like, higher, twende on to the next. Unafungua hiyo page nyingine. Unakumbuka tukiwa shule vile kitabu kijao unapeleka kwa bazaar. Kwa story.
I think the problem would be if this person does not realize that they have gone through a traumatic situation. I think that happened to me, but a different kind of trauma, where I am not aware that I'm going through trauma, so that means I haven't dealt with it, and I don't know what is happening to me. So my reactions will not make sense to the people around me, because first of all, I haven't digested my own trauma, and I haven't dealt with it. So I'm just projecting it now to everyone. So you can lose out on a good person because you're projecting your trauma onto them from your past experiences. I think that has happened to me at some point. Yes.
So unaweza kuwa unapitia trauma na ujui.
Yes, and you're not aware. You become aware after. So you were not addressing it. So that is a danger.
Yeah, ningependa kuin a bit on that. Okay, first of all, like someone was to go through 7 years of in a relationship, almost getting there. Of course, kuna all these feelings, now this heartbreak. There's so much that is involved.
You've even met the parents.
Imagine, the parents have done so much, and then it breaks. But there was this group in church that I was telling that when you are in relationships, okay, probably those who've not gotten too deep, be open to break up. I know it sounds really bad, but
be open to break up.
Yes.
In how long? Like 6 months, even if you did 6 months, fanya kikitu ndio break up.
No. Not
sabotage.
Don't sabotage.
Okay.
But if a relationship breaks, ni sawa. But now, don't get too deep in terms of physically and every other thing. But be open to the relationship breaking, because they do. As in, history has proven that one thing that most relationships do
is
that they break.
You're constant.
That's a constant. Because the very few that lead to marriage, because you find everyone who's married, chances are they've been in a broken relationship.
That's for sure.
So the best statistic would be 50% of all relationships
break up.
That's the best. But chances be like 90, because now the small percentage get into marriage. So guys who are dating, as in, be open to breaking up. Because I think one of the worst things someone can do for themselves is pushing yourself into the marriage relationship, which is an institution that God that God governs, and He has said, by the way, I hate divorce. There are things that I hate. So it is something that people really need to take deep thought when getting into marriage.
Okay.
Whether it will mean 7 years down the drain, but I don't call that down the drain, because you're gaining experience.
Experience for 7 years.
Which is not...
Translate into the next. relationship.
Yeah.
Ndio shida.
Okay, ndio, okay.
But I get what you mean.
Kuna misunderstanding inaweza come from this.
Yeah.
But the point that I really want to put across like me, the relationship that I was in, the only one, as in, you see, I learned a lot. All experiences that we get ourselves in, you learn. You come out with new knowledge. Whether it is good or bad, you learn. And you're able to apply some of those lessons to the next relationship. So our was for the 7 years, of course it is unfortunate, and yeah, to be hope to in the but who knows that even getting into the relationship, getting into marriage would have led to even greater disasters. So I think pia kubeba relationships not lightly. I don't know,
being alert.
Yeah, you're alert in a way, but then it's not a do or die. You get, as in, if this person will leave you,
they will leave.
It's okay. Let them leave you, and then go back in at the strong points, which were, okay, so this is how ladies need to be treated. So these are the good things. I did this that really pissed them off. You're like, okay, sawa. In my next, Mungu akiniletea mwingine, I'll be careful to handle and to take care of this. As in, kind of like trying to kuchukua the positives from an experience. Because at the end of the day, relationships break. They will break.
And so you're finding this balance where you're taking the relationship seriously but not too seriously, because also there's this other generation of people who are taking relationships casually, where now you're mini, doesn't matter, state bad, all these things. So people are taking relationships very casually, and some of those things bring heartbreak, some of those things bring deep emotional pains, because you're taking the thing too seriously, and maybe it was a bad thing from the get-go. Maybe hata Mungu amekuokoa kutoka kwa hii relationship. Kulikuwa kubaya. Some relationships, they even have forms of abuse, what you talked about earlier. There's physical abuse, and these people are dating. Like no msi anasema pana utu ndio uni understand. Unashindwa na understand na babare ama.
Kwanza kuna vitu red flag. Hata kama unampenda aje.
Red flag.
Mpende from a distance. You know, ile upendo Yesu, which is even deeper.
But how far is the distance? An SMS away, a friends with benefits away,
different time zones.
Time not impossible. Ile tu ya umbali tu ako ana exist hadi sawa.
Lakini si karibu hivyo.
Yeah, because now marriage, as in, and the deeper the relationship gets, the more complicated getting out of it will be. So if kuna any form of abuse, I know kuna wenye wanajipatanga huko, kwa kutaka, I don't know, stuff just happens. But if you're in a position where you have seen something early enough, bail.
Sayo kitu.
Toka mbio. Because now ukijingisha kwa institution yenye inaitwa marriage, it gets complicated again. Because now it's a bit complicated. That's all.
I know people who've been in relationships where one person left the country, time zones zikakuwa different, but they were married or they were in a serious relationship. Don't say ameenda. So ukijipata kwa hiyo situation alafu unafanya no, do you divorce them? Kid, what say you?
Okay, I've heard of such cases where one spouse left and then the one who's remaining behind has so much trauma, because obviously the one who leaves moves on and you're stuck in that zone. That is a big trauma in itself, because you're wondering, okay, you had gone all the way, you had done your wedding, you have married, and then siku moja unaamka unajipata alas uko single.
You're singular.
So now your brain becomes
related
because now you're single, you have a home, you have no one to live with. So now it is so traumatizing. That is a trauma. Now that is a big relationship trauma, because you have gone back to zero and you didn't know. Umeamka tu umepata alarm, so niko single sasa. Now
so it's like you're in a relationship but you're not in one. Because you're not physically together.
Some spouses leave and then they go and start a new life. And then they never come back to the country. So now you are left there and you're wondering, if you divorce them, you lose half of everything you had built together. So you go back to zero. So now you're wondering, so now that's what I was talking about. Now imagine this person trying to date a new person. This new person will be introduced to so much trauma without possibly realizing it.
Yeah.
And if this person who was left does not know that they are going through a traumatic situation, it's going to traumatize them both.
Yeah.
The new guy who has come in and this person is still going through it, because they are going to treat this new person with the contempt of the old person. Or maybe they are going to be too harsh on the new person because they are punishing them for things that they have gone through with another person. So this is why it is important to know when you're going through trauma, to know potentially traumatic things, so that when they happen to you, you deal with them before you introduce a new person. Or even before it will help you to know what's happening to you so that you can heal and become whole again.
Yeah, I think healing is really important. There's a friend of mine at Kwaliambia. After the roller coaster, now he was trying to start again. Every time I go on a date with
a new person,
anajua kwa nini huyu sikana ni? Especially kitu alimention level ya intelligence. Anashindwa mazee. So and so used to be so sharp. But whatever is left outside here, unaona saa it's just
maybe alikuwa amedecide I want someone like this and it has to be like this. It has to be this level of sharpness, it has to be this height, and then now this person has left. No one else is like that person. So kama wewe standards zako zilikuwa kizo, imagine how hard it's going to be for you to find another person with those standards. So you'll be traumatized for life because you have this gap that you're trying to fill and it's unfillable.
We need to go through trauma healing. Because people need to heal. It's a wound. Okay, me sina experience sana kwa masomo. Okay, in terms of
but in life so many traumatized. Okay, wait.
But you're gonna straight info.
I think mimi kitu naweza sema ni very important. People need to learn to identify potentially traumatizing situations. A lot goes wewe si ni mwanaume wewe nini unalielewa mdema anakuacha unalielewa there is plenty of fish. You don't realize you go through a trauma because unaambiwa baba ni kujipanga, huyo akitoka kuna wengine enda uende huko. Mademu unaambiwa wewe tu maisha ni kuvumilia, kama amekuchapa wewe tu vumilia. So people need to understand when a traumatic thing is happening to them so that they deal with it. Understand when to know when you're about to be traumatized by something and what you're supposed to do when it happens to you. Yeah.
So as we've discussed, relationship trauma comes in many forms and ways. Some could be physical abuse or all the forms of abuse, a relationship breaking up, a heartbreak, and as Kate said, you could be going through trauma and you don't even know about it. So I
was expecting flowers and dates, and I was being taken all over the country. Then when I said I do, I was not taken to Dubai after that, so I was very traumatized.
Your stage to Shaki.
You see, this is what I'm thinking. My expectation was that I'll be going on a date every Friday. I'll be bought for flowers. I'll be, he'll be doing my laundry every night.
To graduate.
But now I have lived with this trauma for a very long time.
No. Expectation. Let's say that if there is also a possibility of trauma being there in marriage because of some of the issues we talked about, finances, distance, or expectations. When you expect your spouse will bring you flowers every Friday, Valentine's at a kushikana gana bonfire gana huwa kupeleke where unataka kupeleka Dubai, lakini the only place unajipata ni hapa Dubai. You just relax yourself, please. Very traumatizing. But one of the things we want to share with you, and as we're sharing these stories, I hope that you grasp is that there are many forms of relationships trauma, and you need to be aware of some of the things that, or some of the ways that you can know you're facing relationships trauma. You're not sleeping well at night, you're irritable, you're anxious, you're feeling a deep need to connect with people. Like, there are ways that you can just be feeling something is wrong, you're projecting, you're angry, you're, kuna vitu una feel, siko normal, siko poa. And many people, many young people, but also even people who are older, choose to take substances. You choose to do drugs or substance abuse. You choose to lock yourself away. Sometimes some of these feelings of feeling like you're shutting down because you're going through loss can cause you to go into a mental health issue or illness. You can be depressed, even if it's mildly depressed. Like, there are signs that will tell you siko poa. Please don't ignore those signs. One of the things that we are very big about in Tullier is having open conversations about them. Seek out a therapist, as Kate has said. Just tell them, I'm feeling like this, and they'll help you figure out a way. I say, like, a conversation with a therapist is simply like what you just had. You give them a ball of yarn mdogodhanio, unamwambia shika hapo, nishike hapa, tunatry kuinini vizuri, kuiwind vizuri. And when you seek out a therapist, someone you don't need to know everything you're going through. You just need to start somewhere. You start talking to someone. Find a couple you can work with. Find people you can work with who understand your journey, or who understand, like, when you don't have to get out of bed, see what watakwambia, where amka, where tuende. They don't understand what you're going through, because also mental health issues are coming up a lot because of relationships and a relationship trauma. So we've just begun this conversation, and we'll continue this conversation over and over. I want to hear what these guys have to say about marriage trauma, because being married 10 years must not be easy with each other. Yeah, I have lots of questions for that conversation, but for today we just want to talk about relationships trauma. You've heard from the experiences. If you have an experience that's bugging you, there's a line that's going to appear on your screen. Please call a therapist, please call someone, and just get it sorted out. Don't go through it alone. You are never alone. That is all the time we had for you today. Thank you, Kate and Saich Ngara, for coming today to our studio. Have a wonderful day. Please don't forget to call the number on your screen if you need any help. We're always here for you. With that said, see you in the next one. Goodbye.